All right, so today we're going to go over chapters 3 and 4, but I wanted to kind of go a little bit more into chapter 2, just a little bit, and practice our occupancy, our RevPAR, the ADR, practice those concepts just a little bit more. I know there's a homework assignment, there's a quiz on Canvas. Don't stress about that. I think I have finally assigned due dates to everything. I did right before class. So, the course calendar that I gave you as you were filling out your AHLEI stuff, I have that with you. That is pretty much accurate as far as due dates. The other thing that you can look at is in Canvas. In Canvas, if you also look at the syllabus right here in the main menu, it will also give you all of the due dates for different assignments. I have hidden all of the quizzes and I have hidden all of the exams for right now. I want to make sure I update all those questions before um, you, those of you who like to work ahead, because once you work ahead, then I can't change any answers. So I went ahead and hid all of those so you can't see them. As soon as I unhide them, I will give you a heads up and there'll be a due date on there, okay? Even if it's for a past chapter, I'll still give you at least a week or two to work on those assignments, okay? Some of the quizzes, they're gonna be any questions anywhere from, the chapter quizzes will be anywhere from 5 to 10 questions at the max, okay? So it shouldn't be too terrible. Most of them will be multiple choice. Some of them will be some math involved with those questions, okay? Just kind of that's what I'm looking for. Reinforce the lessons that we talked about in class. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so like the due dates on here for those quizzes, don't worry about that.
Correct.
So,
'Cause I have, those are not visible yet.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the syllabus is a good way. For those of you who don't know, I think I've pointed this out in most of my classes. If you look at the dashboard on Canvas, your to-do list on the dashboard is all of your classes combined if, this is a big if, your professor is actually assigned due dates to the assignments. Okay. If they haven't assigned due dates, it's not going to pop up, auto-populate in like chronological order on your to-do list. My to-do list is everything I have to grade. Your to-do list is all the assignments that are coming up. Okay. And that's for all of your classes. This is a good place to look because if you need to figure out what do I need to focus on, what needs to be done first, I would come to your dashboard. That way you can focus on what needs to be done first. Okay. Um, so let's talk about ADR, RevPAR, and occupancy percentage. Okay. Did I give you the wrong one? I gave you the wrong one. Sorry. I gave you the identical net revenue. So this one is our occupancy. Here we go. You'll still need the other one. We're gonna go over that one too. But I just gave it to you a little early. My bad. Okay. So occupancy, RevPAR, ADR, those are the three major KPIs. What does KPI stand for?
Key performance indicator.
Key performance indicators. Okay, so these things are what we're looking at to figure out, basically our own performance compared to our budget, our performance and what we plan to do, and also our performance as it compares to our competitors, which we'll talk about at the end of class today. Okay, so RevPAR, revenue per available room, ADR, average daily rate, and then occupancy percent. Those three things. Okay. So to figure out let's kind of go a little bit in order. So let's look at number one on our page here. Okay. Some things that we want to look at. It's going to help us with solving these problems. Okay. The first thing is my numbers don't match. What? Hold on.
I think he had two different forms.
Yeah, the first one is 150, 100, and 25.
There we go. There we go. 350, 175, 1000. Okay, cool. Sorry. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is we want to identify how many rooms do we have in the property. So we have 350 rooms in our property here. Okay. The next thing we want to do, it's going to work from top to bottom. So the next thing we want to do is we want to multiply each of the rates by how many rooms were sold. Okay. Multiply the rates by the number of rooms that were actually sold for that particular period. Okay. Questions?
How we do this, we go down and multiply each by that
It's
or.
150 rooms times $85. So we sold 150 rooms at $85 each. We sold 100 rooms at $95 each. And we sold 25 rooms at $105 each. Okay. So this illustrates that we don't sell all of our rooms at the exact same rate. They all kind of fluctuate based on a variety of factors, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the textbook. Okay. So once you have all three of those done, then you want to go ahead and add them together to get your total revenue for that particular day. Yes, ma'am.
I know that it's like these are the rooms, like how much they per room on there. But if they use valet and that's charged to the room, is that more revenue for the business?
It is, so if they charge valet or room service, or if they do a spa and they charge it to the room, whatever, that's more revenue that's coming in, but all we're looking at right now is just the rate. So just the average daily rate. Yep. Good question. Okay. There is. Where's my? there is a revenue per available guest. And that's where you would take into account all the revenue that came in and divide by the number of guests that you had. All right, so $24,875. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay. So that's our total revenue that we brought in from the rates that we sold that night. Okay, total revenue. The other one that we want to add up is the number of rooms that we sold. Okay, so if we added 150 plus 100 plus 25, we get 275. Okay. If you want to go back and rewatch the video, if you're not familiar with using Excel, couple of things. If you highlight these three, okay, or actually, because that's pretty easy. If I highlight these three right here, in the very bottom, you'll see it shows average, count, and sum. It's really small, but it says average. So the average of those three numbers is 8,291. There's three of them, so that's the count. I've highlighted three items. And then the sum is 24,875. Okay. If you're in Excel and you want to add these three numbers together, what do you do?
Highlight it. And then go to
Equals.
the top part, it says sum.
Okay, you can right here because there's just these three numbers. You can come up here where it says auto sum, this little kind of funky looking E. And then hit enter. Then it automatically puts the formula in there for you. Okay, so same thing here. I've got these three numbers, auto sum, hit enter. That's the fast way. Anytime you want to tell Excel you want to do some math, start with the equal sign. Equal tells Excel, I want you to start doing something, okay? Rather than just have numbers in a cell or letters in a cell. So equals, and you can go this plus this plus this plus this. Okay, that's kind of like the manual way of doing things, okay? Occupancy percentage. So now we have pretty much all the information we need to know right now. Okay. Our occupancy percentage is, what is the formula for occupancy percentage? Anybody remember?
So divided by rooms in the property.
Yep, the rooms sold divided by the rooms available at the property. Okay. So I'm gonna write it up here on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, so that way it stays there. Occupancy percentage is equal to the rooms sold divided by the rooms at the property. Now, if you have rooms that are out of order, sometimes some hotels won't use that. If you're going through renovations and they close an entire floor of rooms, they'll take that out of the counts of rooms at the property because they can't sell those rooms, right? So it's pretty much the rooms available to sell is usually what people will use when you're thinking about your occupancy percentage. So occupancy percentage in this case, if we look, we have 275 rooms sold. Divided by 350 rooms in the property. Okay. If I do that on my calculator, 275 divided by 350, I get 7,857. Oops. No, what happened to my? Dang it. 275 divided by 350. What was it? 0.7?
7.8.
57, okay? I always do the 4 decimal places because I'm gonna move this decimal place over 2, so I get 78.6%. I'm gonna round up the nearest 1 decimal with the percentage. So it's 78.6%. Why do I move that decimal place over 2?
Cause there's 2 zeros and 100.
There's 2 zeros and 100, right? So our occupancy is if you wanna look at it this way, rooms sold divided by available rooms
Figurative for 100.
times 100. That 100 is just going to give you that whole number, 78.6%. Because there's 2 zeros in this 100, we're gonna move this decimal place over 2. I often leave that times 100 off because why? Because you can visually just move that decimal place over 2, right? But if it makes you more comfortable to put in your calculator times 100 and see what the number is, go for it. That means you're gonna get the right answer, then go for it, okay? Now, your calculator always gives you the right answer, but it may not be the correct answer. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whatever your calculator gives you, it's the right answer based on the information you put in it. So it's always right, but it may not be the correct answer. So just because you're like, Miss Uminski, the calculator said it was this, okay? Just because the calculator said it doesn't mean it's always right. It's always correct, okay? So just keep that in mind. So our occupancy percentage is 78.6%, okay? ADR, average daily rate, okay? Average daily rate, when you find the average of anything, what do? You got all the numbers and then divide by the number you have, right? So our average daily rate, we are going to take this total revenue, $24,875. And we're gonna divide it by the rooms that we sold, 275 rooms. So $2,487, $875, sorry. Divide that by the 275 rooms we sold. And we have an average rate of 90.454545 repeating, okay? So we're gonna use regular rounding rules, 90.45. If that third decimal is higher than 5 or above, then you go ahead and round it to the nearest dollar, not nearest penny. Right? So 90.45. Questions about how we found this information? Okay. Right below the ADR, I did not have RevPAR on this one. So go ahead and write in RevPAR, revenue per available room. Okay. Revenue per available room. Instead of the 275, now we're going to use the 350. Okay. So instead of the 275, these are the available rooms we have. And so our revenue of $24,875. Our RevPAR is a room per available room. So is this number going to be higher or lower than our ADR? Why is it going to be lower?
Cause if we sold less than the total number of rooms, you're gonna divide by a bigger number.
Yeah, we're dividing the same dollar amount by a bigger number, which means our answer is going to be smaller. RevPAR is always smaller than ADR. RevPAR is always smaller than ADR, except for one condition.
They're the same.
If you sold.
When we're sold out. Because then we're dividing by the same number by the same number of rooms. If we're sold out 100% occupancy, then the numbers match. Okay, but otherwise, RevPAR will always be smaller than ADR. So as you're going through your homework, if you get larger numbers for your RevPAR, then you might be doing something wrong. Okay, so RevPAR, what was 24,875 divided by 350?
71.0714.
There we go. $71.07 is our RevPAR. $71.07 is our RevPAR. Yes,
Just to clarify for my notes, can you explain what's the RevPAR formula?
RevPAR formula is the total revenue divided by the rooms available. Okay, let's do one more together. And then I'm gonna let you do number 3 by yourself. All right, so let's go to number 2 together. First thing, actually, let's do this. Let's first do our occupancy. Let's get that out of the way. So how do we get occupancy?
Adding all of them.
Add up all the rooms that were sold. Okay. And then our occupancy is rooms sold 175 divided by the rooms available in the property 175. And that equals what? 1, right? So is our occupancy 1%?
100%.
100. Remember, we got to move that decimal place over 2 spots. Fill in the holes. We have 100% occupancy. Okay. So 100% as a decimal is just 1. So our occupancy is 100%. Yes,
And for the whole week, you would do the 175 times 7, right?
exactly. Yep. Exactly. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and calculate your ADR and your RevPAR.
Let me grab a soda.
Sure, they're not cold. Okay. There's water on the second level if you want of the cart.
Oh, okay.
But I also want to demonstrate the effectiveness of Excel, okay? How many of you do not have any experience working in Excel? Raise your hand if you have no experience or very little experience working in Excel. Okay, I highly recommend that you either take like an Excel class or start doing, go to YouTube and let's look for Excel tutorials for beginners, because check this out. Equals 250 times 189. Copy that down. I've got that. I've got my total. My occupancy is equal to this divided by that. My ADR is equal to this divided by the rooms sold, and my rev par is equal to that divided by that. That. Okay, you still have to know the formulas, you still have to know the math involved, but Excel does it for you. You don't have to take the time to put it into your calculator. I still have to know that my total revenue divided by this is my rev par. The beautiful thing about this is that if you look right here, look up at my function bar right here, there's no numbers up there. It's just cells. So if I decide, okay, I want to go ahead and change this to a 500 room hotel, my RevPAR automatically updates. Okay, so you could even create, if you wanted to, your own little RevPAR ADR occupancy calculator in Excel, and you can just put the numbers in and boom, it will automatically spit out the answer for you. You can create your own little calculator that's specific for things that we do in class. Okay, so I highly recommend Excel. Let's take a look at number 5 real quick. Okay, I went ahead and put the numbers in. I filled out this first part for you. So we had 578 rooms sold, if you want to write that in. And our total revenue is $83,625. Okay. This is for 1 week. Let's just say for fun that this is what we would do every single week out of the year. That's $4,384,500 for the year in revenue just from selling the rooms. Okay, that's the revenue. That's 100 rooms. If we multiply that by 10, I can guarantee you the revenue, the hotel, the Marriott downtown is doing way more than $43 million a year. Could you imagine one day you would be the general manager and your job is to manage a budget of $43 million in sales?
Look like Scrooge.
Now, that's not your money you're taking home, okay? I don't want you guys to get any like false ideas. But that's the money that has to be then also all your other expenses, your labor, your materials, your laundry detergent, replacement of your sheets and towels, all that stuff has to come out of that. But you have a budget of $43 million or more for the year in order to manage. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I think it's cool. It's cool to think about. Something to think about. Okay, so does 578% occupancy look right? No, I'm glad you recognize that we can't have 578% occupancy. Okay. One thing that happens is the previous 1, 2, and 3, we're only dealing with 1 day out of the year, 1 day out of the week. Okay. This we're dealing with a full week. Okay. So what you have to do is rather than just divide by the number of rooms in the hotel, we multiply that by how many days there are, so 7 days in a week. Okay, we first have to multiply this. What is 100 times 7?
700.
Obviously 700 rooms, right? So we're going to divide this 587. We do it so you can see it. 578, sorry, divided by 100 times 7. Because we have 7 days. 7, okay? So then that equals 578 divided by 700, and that equals 82.6%. Okay?
Students, can you go
Yes.
back on that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So in this case, because we are looking at the entire week,
Okay,
okay? Numbers 1, 2, and 3, we're looking at just 1 day only. But
okay,
because I have them listed out by day, that means we're looking at the entire week, which means I have 100 rooms, but I have 100 rooms for every day. So 7 days in the week, 100 times 7 gives me 700 rooms. Okay? If I was looking for my occupancy for the whole year, I would divide it by 100 times 365. That would give me my occupancy for the whole year. Okay? This is where you also need to know how many how many days are in a month. So you can make sure you're dividing by 30 or 31 or 28 or every 4 years, 29. Okay? So you need to know those things so that way you can calculate things correctly. ADR and RevPAR, do these numbers look correct? No, why? Because RevPAR is way higher than ADR. So what did I do? I forgot to multiply by 7. That's a very common thing that happens on this assignment with students. Now it looks right. At 119. Okay, so I know I went through that relatively quickly. Let me go through the steps for this number 5. First, we want to add up all of our, like we did before, okay? We want to add everything up. We want to multiply just like we did before, but instead of a room, we're actually doing the day of the week. So on Monday, we sold 75 rooms, etc. That will give us our room revenue per day. We add those up to get our total revenue, okay? So that part didn't change. That's the same thing as we did the previous problems. What did change is now we have 100 rooms, but we have for 1 week. So we're going to basically consider 700 as our total rooms available. In question 4, we have 500 rooms. So if we multiply that by 7, how many do we get? 3,500, okay? So anytime we're gonna use this number, anytime we used this number right here, the 500 in the previous problems, we're gonna use 3,500, or in this case, we're gonna use 700, okay? Remember, we wanna use it for the same time period. We sold 578 rooms this week. So I need to divide by the rooms in the property times 700. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
Can you explain the rev part one more time?
Yeah. So RevPAR, we take our total revenue, which is $83,625. Okay, that's our total revenue. We're going to divide it by 100 rooms times 7. Okay, because that's going to give us the 700 rooms for the week. And you can do that in Excel. If you take a look, when I highlight this, you just do Excel just like you would do your math problem. The division sign, parentheses, it tells Excel, do this parentheses first. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do y'all still use that?
Yes.
Okay. Parentheses first, and then it's going to divide. Okay. So you can tell Excel what you want it to do and to give you the right answer. Questions, comments, concerns? There is a homework assignment. Okay. It's probably not these questions. I think it's the other ones. But now you have a model for those questions. Okay. And that's going to be due next week. So you've got about a week to work on that.
Not
okay?
this one.
No, that's identical net revenue.
Oh,
That's what we're going to talk about in chapter 3. All right. Questions, comments, concerns about ADR, RevPAR, and occupancy. Trust me, we're going to get lots of practice. We're going to get lots of practice with this. Okay. So, chapter 3. Class discussion. Yeah, before discussion.
And this is homework you said?
That one we're gonna go over in just a moment.